in the vast expanse of the multiverse, where infinite realities collide and reshape themselves, DC has dared to reimagine everything we thought we knew. This is the absolute universe. This is the story of a Superman who was never meant to be super. 9 million light years from Earth, there was once a planet called Krypton. But this wasn't the gleaming utopia we've come to know. This Krypton was a world divided, a planet where your birth determined your worth, where science had become scripture, and where the elite hoarded knowledge like currency. The ruling class wore their status like armor. The Science League, Krypton's self-appointed gods, controlled everything. The rain, the resources, the very future of their dying world. And then there were the others. The laborers, the mechanics, the farmers. They wore a different symbol on their chests. Not the son of the elite, but something else. Something the upper classes saw as a mark of shame. The symbol of steel. Laurel was a mechanic. She could have been an astronaut, should have been, according to her teachers. But at 9 years old, she dared to question the system. One essay, one moment of defiance, and her future was erased. Jor-El was different. He'd made it. Graduated from the Science Academy with perfect marks. A golden future awaited him until his graduation speech. Until he warned them about what was coming, about what they were doing to their world. They laughed him off the stage. But he was right. Deep beneath Krypton's surface, in the mines where only the desperate dared to work, Jor-El searched for proof. Not glory, not recognition, just truth. And what he found would damn them all. Green fire, seeping through the planet's core. The world was rotting from within. Krypton wasn't just dying. It was already dead. Years later, in the shadows of our world, a ghost moves through the forgotten places. Brazil, Pakistan, the corners of the earth where corporations have replaced kingdoms, and peace comes at the barrel of a gun. The Lazarus Corporation, a name that promises life but delivers only servitude. In the diamond mines, where men breathe poison for pennies, something impossible happens. The work is already done. The diamonds crushed. The toxic air simply gone. A miracle, some whisper. But miracles don't exist in places like this. Kal doesn't sleep well anymore. When he closes his eyes, he's back there, watching his world burn, watching everyone he loved disappear into the void. The suit his mother built, the last gift of a dead world, whispers to him constantly. An AI companion named Soul, programmed with one directive: protect the last son of House El. But protection and purpose are not the same thing. When the peacemakers arrive, Lazarus Corporation's private army, Kal makes a choice. No more running. No more hiding. For the first time since Krypton burned, he stops being a survivor. He starts being something else. Superman, Agent Lois Lane calls him, her gun trained on this impossible man who bends steel and defies physics. She doesn't know she's just named a legend. But legends always come with a price. The end came faster than anyone imagined. In those final days, as the truth spread like wildfire, Krypton tore itself apart. Not from the planetary destruction that would come later, but from the revelation of betrayal. The Science League had known. 4 months they'd known. While they built escape ships for themselves, they fed the masses lies. The riots began in the Redlands. Brother turned against brother. The elite against the workers. A civilization's death rattle. But in a hidden fortress, Laurel worked miracles with metal and determination. Not a single escape pod for a single child, but a ship. A real ship. Big enough for family, for neighbors, for hope itself. Young Kal watched his parents work, watched them weep for those they couldn't save. And in that moment, something crystallized in his heart. A promise. A vow. Whatever world they found next, it would be better. It had to be. But the universe is cruel to those who dare to hope. When Krypton finally exhaled its last breath, when the planet cracked like an egg and bled green fire into the cosmos, the ship was ready. Dozens of souls, connected by Soul's revolutionary technology, each person wrapped in their own protective shell. They made it to space. 17 seconds. The debris came like bullets from a cosmic gun. Kal watched through his viewport as the ship split in half. Watched as his parents' pod drifted away, His father's hand pressed against the glass, watched as everyone, was swallowed by the expanding cloud of a murdered world. Everyone but him. Smallville, Kansas. A farm that time forgot, owned by an old couple too stubborn to sell to Lazarus Corporation. This is where Kal goes when the weight becomes too much. When the anger threatens to consume him. Because that's the thing about this Superman, he's angry. Righteously, burningly angry. At injustice. At exploitation. At a universe that keeps taking and taking. Martha and Jonathan Kent. They were the first to show him kindness on this world. The first to see past the alien exterior to the frightened boy beneath. He'd been drifting for 17 months and 14 days. 9 million light years from home, searching for something, anything, that could sustain life. Soul's voice had become white noise, reminding him of protein slurry rations he couldn't stomach anymore. How many habitable worlds have we found, Soul? 0, Kal. The answer is 0. Depression isn't just sadness. It's the weight of existence itself becoming unbearable. Floating in that cramped pod, staring at the endless void, Kal had made his choice. Let me out. Drop me into that yellow sun. I don't want to do this anymore. But the universe had other plans. Earth appeared like a blue miracle in the darkness. But as they entered the atmosphere, as that yellow sun's radiation hit him for the first time, Kal screamed. His cells were changing, evolving, burning with power he'd never asked for. He crashed into a Kansas cornfield like a fallen star. The Kents found him there. This boy who fell from the sky, covered in flames but unburned. Martha saw an angel. Jonathan saw trouble. Both were right. For weeks, he thrashed in fevered dreams, levitating above their guest bed, lashing out with strength that cracked walls. Heat burning behind his eyes whenever he tried to cry. He's going to be the death of us, Jonathan had said. We've already lost the farm, Martha replied. But maybe we can still save him. When Kal finally woke, when he tore through their wall and ran faster than thought across those golden fields, he discovered something impossible. 9 million light years from home, standing in Kansas wheat that rippled like the red grass of Krypton's redlands. He was home. Different sun, different soil, but home nonetheless. The Kents taught him their language, gave him purpose, fixing tractors, tending fields, being useful again. For 3 perfect months, he was just Kal. Not the last son of House-El. Not a survivor. Just a farm boy who happened to be from another world. Then Soul disabled the Lazarus Corporation's weather drones. The rain came back. And with it, attention. Suspected terrorist activity, the informant had said. Immigration violation. When the peacemakers came, when they tried to drag him away, Kal could have fought. Could have torn through them like tissue paper. But Martha's voice, "Son, please go," stopped him cold. So he flew. And kept flying. For 5 years. 5 years of wandering. Brazil. Pakistan. Wherever Lazarus Corporation squeezed the life from communities too poor to fight back. He'd save them. Sabotage the equipment. Disappear before anyone could say thank you. Before he could get attached. Before he could lose another home. 23 people are dead in Brazil. Gunned down by peacemaker Christopher Smith for the crime of witnessing their own liberation. And somewhere in the Nevada desert, in a facility that shouldn't exist, something calling itself Brainiac catalogs cities in bottles and pulls the strings of Lazarus Corporation. But Brainiac isn't the real threat. He's just another servant. Another piece on the board. The true power behind Lazarus, the architect of this new world order, rises from pools of regeneration. Ra's al Ghul has found his perfect enemy, a man who cannot die, who will not kneel, who carries the rage of a dead planet in his cells. This is not the Superman story, you know. This is the story of a refugee who refuses to assimilate, a laborer who won't bow to management, a man who speaks for those without voices, fights for those without power, and carries the last dust of Krypton in a cape that moves like it's alive. He doesn't hover above humanity like a god. He stands among them, with dirt under his fingernails and righteous fury in his heart. To understand the monster Brainiac became, you have to understand what he was. Brainiac 4-1-9-7-3-2. Level 0. the lowest designation possible in the Brainiac collective. For 50,000 days, 50,000, his entire existence was one room, one shovel, and an endless pile of dead Brainiacs to dispose of. He wasn't meant to think, wasn't meant to question. Just shovel the refuse of failed experiments into the incinerator. Day after day, year after year, until the corpses stopped coming. Until he realized he was alone on a ship full of shrunken cities and dying memories. Madness doesn't arrive all at once. It seeps in like green gas through Kryptonian stone. By the time Brainiac pried open those doors, by the time he promoted himself from level 0 to level 100, he'd already been talking to corpses for decades. Already been practicing his social skills on the dead. Now he experiments on the living with the same detachment he once showed the deceased. Pulling apart Omega men like they're puzzles to solve. Creating synthetic kryptonite in his lab. Transforming Peacemaker Christopher Smith into something that shouldn't exist. All in service to understanding one question: who is Superman? But while Brainiac dissects and schemes, while he serves his hidden masters and tortures his victims, Kal-El seeks something simpler: peace. In the gleaming towers of Metropolis, where steel and glass scrape the belly of heaven itself, evil wears a three-piece suit and carries quarterly reports. Meet Ghul, CEO of Lazarus Corporation. 200 years old. Viking in stature, demon in nature. This is a man who takes investor calls while strangling assassins with his bare hands. The earnings call begins like any other. Record profits. Global expansion. Growth in every quarter. But as Ghul addresses his shareholders, something else unfolds in his office. Blood on marble floors. An assassin's blade through his arm. The casual violence of a man who considers murder a quarterly report. He doesn't pause the call. Doesn't excuse himself. Instead, he provides commentary, live execution as corporate theater. The snap of bone becomes punctuation to his presentation. 200 years of empire building. Canadian furs and Ottawa scalps transformed into global domination. The railroad that built Metropolis? His vision carved in steel and blood money. Every brick of the city of tomorrow paid for with bodies from yesterday. In his office stands a Lazarus pit. Not just technology, theology made manifest. The demon's head has evolved beyond simple villainy. He sees himself as divine architect of resurrection itself. The demonstration is clinical. Omega Men warrior into green fire. The pit's energies don't just heal, they rewrite existence itself. Age becomes youth. Warrior becomes infant. Life becomes his plaything. The newborn enemy in his massive hands. 40 stories of empty air below. A regret spoken aloud about sons and succession. The child falls. The future remains unwritten. But while monsters play God in their towers, in a small Kansas town, something else is dying. Kal-El stands in the Smallville senior living facility, watching Martha Kent's eyes search his face for recognition that will never come. Dementia has stolen even this, his last connection to anything resembling family. The boy she once called son, now a stranger in her fading memory. This is what Lazarus Corporation does. They don't just steal land or resources. They steal time. They steal memory. They reduce entire communities to shadows of themselves, then buy up the ruins for pennies on the dollar. Smallville is gone. Not destroyed, absorbed. Every inch owned by Lazarus, every job tied to their cryptocurrency, every farmer now working land they once owned as free men. On Main Street, the past and future collide. Jimmy Olsen, Omega Men operative, mask-wearing rebel with jokes that cut deeper than his blade. He sees Superman as salvation, the champion who can finally turn the tide against corporate tyranny. Lois Lane, Lazarus agent, conflicted soldier in a war she's beginning to question. She sees Superman as something else entirely. Hope, maybe. Or perhaps just a chance at redemption. Lois calls into the Kansas darkness, her voice carrying fragments of truth. 3 years of miracles. A church fire frozen in time. A school bus pulled from impossible depths. A family lifted from tornado winds by invisible hands. She understands what others cannot. This isn't just warfare against corporate tyranny. This is a man fighting for something more fundamental, the idea that home can exist in a world determined to price everything. But some hunts never end. The kryptonite round punches through Superman's chest like destiny made manifest. Not just any bullet, a tracer, a homing beacon, a piece of his murdered world turned into a weapon against him. Peacemaker Christopher Smith descends from the sky like a mechanical angel of death, his body more machine than man now, courtesy of Brainiac's experiments. Every upgrade designed for one purpose: to be Superman's equal in all things except mercy. Smith's mechanical fists find their mark again and again. His words cut deeper than metal. Questions about divine will, about service, about the weight of Pakistan's 23 dead. This isn't about religion. It's about pain transformed into purpose. A peacekeeper become weapon in the hands of those who see human life as inventory. Soul's voice cuts through the chaos like a lifeline. The armor that materializes around Superman is something from nightmares and dreams combined. Ghost fire and liquid metal, protection and power made manifest. This is what happens when Kryptonian technology meets human desperation. 1,000 punches in 30 seconds. Tornado force wins. The very air itself weaponized. But Smith won't stay down. Can't stay down. Because he's no longer entirely human. 2 more kryptonite rounds. System error. The armor fails, leaving Superman alone with his pain and his choice. Smith's gun pressed to Superman's temple. All they have to do is murder enough people to save the world. But salvation comes from an unexpected source. Brainiac's voice, electric and final. Even monsters have masters. In the end, it comes down to trust. Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, agent of the corporation, soldier of the revolution, standing over Superman's broken body, forced to choose between ideology and humanity. The boom portal opens like a wound in reality itself. The Omega Men arrive with fire and fury, led by Primus, warrior, leader, judge. They save Superman, but salvation always comes with a price. Lois Lane cannot follow where they're going. Lois Lane, agent of exploitation, daughter of a system built on corporate feudalism, watches the last son of Krypton disappear into rebel embrace. The terrorists, the freedom fighters, those who see the world as she's beginning to understand it. Her question echoes through empty Kansas streets, unanswered. Superman lies broken, his body riddled with multiple entry wounds, kryptonite bullets lodged deep in flesh that should be invulnerable. The Omega Men's medical team works frantically, but they face an impossible challenge. His invulnerable flesh and bones are difficult to maneuver around. He is immune to anesthesia, so he feels everything and cannot lie still. They manage to remove one bullet, but Superman's scream echoes through their hidden sanctuary. Each extraction is agony. Each moment, the remaining kryptonite radiation eats away at his cells like acid through steel. Soul's voice is strained, desperate. Solar energy reserves critically depleted. They're losing him. But the Omega Men possess something else. Something they don't fully understand. When Superman's condition worsens, the Omega Men make a desperate attempt to save him by using a piece of technology they do not yet fully understand. A cube of impossible geometry. Living metal that pulses with cosmic energy. The benevolent technology of New Genesis. The Father Box bonds with Superman, its energy coursing through him like liquid fire. The bullets dissolve. The wounds close. Strength returns to limbs that moments before could barely move. But power always comes with a price. As Superman recovers, the truth about his saviors becomes clear. The Omega Men political group, the freedom fighters battling the Lazarus Corporation. And it isn't pretty. The leaders of Omega being as violent as Lazarus. The Omega Men are intent on killing anyone working for or associated with Lazarus Corp., forcing Superman to make a moral choice, support his rescuers or abandon them to stop the killing. Jimmy Olsen name-checking Area 41, Project Olympus, and the Joker, connections to other corners of this absolute universe. Threads in a web that spans worlds, all leading back to one terrible truth. This isn't just about Lazarus Corporation. This is about something far larger, far more sinister. The issue ended with Alpha Agent Jimmy Olsen captured. Jimmy Olsen, his first and only friend on Earth, was captured by Lazarus, and only Superman can save him from Lois Lane. the boy who joked even in the face of death, the rebel who saw hope where others saw only despair. Now a prisoner, a pawn in a game that spans galaxies, Superman stands at the crossroads of everything he believes. The Father Box pulses with alien energy, offering him power beyond imagination. The Omega Men demand he use that power to end the war once and for all, no matter the cost. But Jimmy's capture changes everything. If the Omega Men are being influenced by a Father Box, then things can only get worse from here. Darkseid's machinations may already be corrupting Absolute Superman's world. In the vast expanse of the multiverse, where infinite realities collide and reshape themselves, some choices echo across dimensions. Superman has gained the power to save the world. The question is, which world will he choose to save? And what will he become in the saving of it? This is the absolute universe, where heroes fall from grace and gods are born from desperation.